YouTube channel Sports 101 and on Tadi FM 99.1. And we are here to serve you with the biggest breakfast show in Takrade and in Ghana. And I'm here with Kofi Asiedu.
Yes, yes. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. And how
Very well.
everything been?
Like you said, we are here to talk about sports. We are here
Yep.
to talk about sports, and we are talking sports on YouTube,
Yeah.
sports101.com, and then we are streaming live for our listeners, people who are not privileged to tune to log into YouTube now. We are streaming live on Tadi 99.1 FM.
Okay.
So it's been a wonderful week.
It has been.
I think that Arsenal has virtually lit up our week, and then what they did yesterday, I'm pretty sure that listeners are waiting for viewers and listeners are waiting for some of the things that observations that we um, have garnered from the week full of action. But we have another show
Yes,
tomorrow
yes, we
from
do.
7 to 9 p.m. where we do the review, where we talk about Arsenal, where we talk about. Some people have chosen to call
Some
them.
distracts mood.
Well, some people have chosen to call them Butless FC. You understand? I watched the game yesterday and I was super excited.
Excited.
But probably you go ahead to let us know the menu on the dish today.
Yes, talk of Arsenal. You see, we will talk about them extensively because their whole issue is a full dossier that I think we would have to spend so much time talking about. And talk of Arsenal, I think it's about time that we have to really delve deep into the Premier League with what is going on with this pendulum effect of it swinging here and swinging there and season in season now, we almost always have to wait till the last day of the season to know who wins the league. If I may ask, can we say that the Premier League has now taken the title unanimously from all of the leagues, from the Spanish La Liga, from the Italian Serie A, as the best league in the world, undisputedly?
Well, I think that there are so many ways to go about this particular topic. There's no hard and fast way to go about this. People choose to bring in different indexes when they talk about best. When you start talking about these superlatives, best, you deal with the better, you deal with the good. There are so many parameters that come in. So I think that you would have to look at the various integrations. You would have to look at the various parameters. But without a shadow of doubt, some of the things that I'll go ahead to probably talk about has to be for any league, the chief ingredients of the league have to be the players. You understand?
Okay.
So for every league to be quality, then you need to have top level alpha males. You need to have top level superstars. You need to have top level athletes who are constantly putting their bodies on the line and making sure that 90 minutes in, 90 minutes out, they are delivering. So one of the chief instigators to this theory or otherwise, to make this theory true or otherwise, has to be one, the players, then two, the trainers or the coaches. You understand? Then before I look at all of these other things, these other issues, we are sure that if you look in world football now, I think that there are a lot of good players around. You can talk about the Karim Benzema, you can talk about the Lionel Messi's, albeit in the twilight of their careers. You understand? You can talk about the Luka Modric, you can talk about the Tony Kroos, you can talk about all of these players. But I think that if you picked a sample and you did a sampling of the EPL, I can say without a shadow of doubt that we have some of the best talents in the EPL. Come on. Arguably, probably take away Kylian Mbappe. I think that's the best striker in the world. To allow say Kylian Mbappe and then Karim Benzema. I think the best striker in the world today. You cannot have the conversation of the top three best strikers without without Erling Haaland. You understand? Then you talk about all the other players. You talk about somebody like Kevin De Bruyne. You talk about Bernardo Silva. You talk about all of these goalkeepers, Mohamed Salah. You talk about all of these players. I think that if you look generally across the probably most of the best players in the world. I mean, in terms of the number and the configuration. And I talk about coaches. I think that without a shred of doubt, the best coaches are in the APL today. I mean, you can name them from
Guardiola,
Pep Guardiola to
Jurgen Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp to there used to be Conte before he was fired. You can talk about all of the other coaches.
You
Even
never
the
rated Conte, but now you are saying Conte is one
no,
of the best coaches.
Conte, I don't think is one of the best coaches, but
He said one of the
in the
best
in the
coaches.
in the context of the conversation we are having, in the context of coaches that are available today, I think that he will be probably in the B plus configuration. So I look at all of these factors and I say no, nobody would argue about the fact. But there again, I mean, the conspirators will also throw in that angle about if you're if you're the best league in the world, why don't we have you having an equal measure of good teams in the Champions League? Because then the theory has to be the fact that okay, the best teams in the world have the most representatives or have
Okay.
teams which have the potential of winning the Champions League. So I mean, if you did the pairing of the Champions League now, you have two teams from Italy, you have one from Spain, then you have another one from England. So why are you claiming to be the best when you don't have
So it
even
makes them overrated.
well, I think that's another argument. I do not know what you think about the subject matter as it stands now, but I think that as we delve deeper into the conversation, we'll bring in some of these other facts.
For me, talking about EPL being the best, I've always stood by this assertion that a league's domination is always based on errors and timelines. There have been times that, and for you to say that a team or something is the best, it means that you are comparing it to more than two or more. That is when you can actually talk about it being the best. And you cannot say a team or a league is the best when you are comparing the league against itself, because if the league and how the league someone wins the league makes it the best, you can't use that because it is just within the league that you are talking about. So it means that the only parameter that we can use the EPL to talk about it being the best is when we peg them to the other leagues and what they have in common, and that is the European competitions. I stand by the assertion that there's a difference between most competitive and the best league. If you say a league is most competitive, it means that you are talking about how a team wins the league. How consistent do you have changes in those who win it? How do you have players pegging themselves or pushing themselves to get to the highest level? So you can, for me, you can get a league to be very competitive, but they can never be the best. Because, like I said, if you want to peg it with the best, you have to take things that make the others or that is in common with the others. And for me, one has to do with European competition. Another has to do with all the leagues are fighting for viewership, of course. They are all fighting for people to watch them. So that is also a matrix you can use. So viewership too can be part. Another thing too that all the leagues are fighting for, like you talked about, has to do with coaches. They are all fighting for coaches, and they are all fighting for the best of players. So first of all, I will talk about competitiveness, and without a shred of doubt, you can't take EPL away because even for the past 10 years, from 2013 till now, you've had about four teams winning. You've had Chelsea winning, you've had City winning, you've had Leicester, you've had United winning. And save City that you've had them winning a double, 1-2. They've never even done a three-peat. It has never happened within this
They
time.
might probably do it too
They
this
might
time
do a
around. Yeah,
three-peat,
maybe.
and
They will.
they will.
They will do the
They will do the
three-peat.
three-peat. You've had United one, you've had Leicester one, you had teams that are underdogs that have what do you call it, an odds of 50,000 to 1 winning the league. You had a team that a season before were sixth in Chelsea coming to win the league. You had United winning, you had City winning, you had Liverpool that had not won the league for 30 years or so. That makes it very, very competitive. And the funny thing too is that apart from Premier League, in fact, you've never, no, I wouldn't even say, I will not even talk about just Premier League. I will talk about the English Division 1. You've never had a team winning more than four. Never. Only Liverpool has done it once. and the three-peat,
As
of
in
course.
winning it for
1, 2, 3, 4. You take the others. Bayern has won the 10th. They are on the 11th. Juventus have won it 9 good times, which is very crazy. You've had Barca win it 3, 4 times, 5 times. Real Madrid doing the same. But if it comes to the EPL, it doesn't happen. Even from the era of Preston North End till the last winners in the shape of Manchester City, it does not happen. So for competitiveness, it is there because apart from Manchester United that actually was doing a double, and a three-piece, and Chelsea that did a double twice, and City that has also done the double twice. Within the past 20 years, no other team, which is very, very crazy, within the past, it's even 30 years, no team, apart from United doing it a double twice, a three-peat twice, and double in successions, and City doing a double twice, and Chelsea, all the others winning once, and that's it. Leicester won it once, Blackburn won it once, Arsenal won it 1-1. That is 98, 2002, 2004. So if you take these ones, realize it's coming. When it comes to the it being the best, I hold this that if you are talking about their performances in the Champions League and they winning, I wouldn't really use that to say it is the best because there are a lot of factors involved. And this factor is something that a lot of people or pundits usually don't give attention to, and that has to do with the calendar, especially during the round 16.
I want us to break this conversation down to the lay person listening to us or watching us on YouTube. You spoke about the fact that the league to be considered the best, and there is a clear differential between the most competitive and the best. You understand? But then you want to introduce a caveat about calendar. People will think that, okay, you are being a cynic. Because the moment you start talking about calendars, then it means that you are almost trying to run refuge for the APL.
No, that wasn't
because because that's the one thing that springs up when people speak about the fact that, oh, okay, the La Liga goes on a winter break, the Bundesliga goes on a winter break. There's a reason why the EPL teams come into the Champions League and never perform. So where do you draw those lines?
I am drawing those lines, and I told you that I am using three. One has to do with drawing the best of players, or having the best of players, having the best of coaches, and their performances in the European competition. Apart from this season, in 2019 or 2019, you had the finals of the European competition between two English teams.
Mm-hmm.
Two English teams.
Tottenham and Liverpool.
And it's even, I'm even talking about Europa. You had Chelsea and Arsenal. And the Champions League too was between two English teams, between Tottenham, and that has never ever happened. That is the first year and the second year were both European teams. In 2020, you still had in the semi-final, you still had City in the semi-final, you had Liverpool in the semi-final. And even in the Europa, you had United in the semi-final. So they were eliminated. 2021, a similar thing happened. You had two English teams in the final. So in a period of 3 years, you had an English team or three different English teams in the final. You had Tottenham in the final, you had Liverpool in the final, you had Chelsea in the final, you had City in the final. 4 English teams in the semi. And this, for us to talk about, we are not just using this season. I am just doing the past 4 seasons. 2022.
But why would you want to limit your argument to the last 4 seasons?
Because if we are saying a team is the best, we as
a league is the best.
A league is the best. You can't just use the season to say a league is the best. You can't just use 2004 having Porto and Monaco in the final to say that the French league and the Portuguese league are the best league because the following is what happened.
For
consistency.
But where do you draw your timeline? Where do you draw your timelines regards the span, regards the period?
And
where do you draw your
for
timelines?
us to,
well, I just want us to have a fair conversation.
Yes, in general terms, let's say even if you are doing a studies, or if you are doing a study, let me put it that way, and you want to talk about a range of something that you actually want data, you can't go about 100 years or 50 years or 30 years. You have to be very, very, very close. Not so close and not so far. And at least with the little that I've done in research, if it has to be something like, let's say, football or something, the least should at least be 5 years.
Yeah, so therein lies the theory about cycles.
Yes,
I mean,
cycles.
there's an established theory out there that teams dominate in cycles.
In
You
cycles.
understand? And that cycle, the most important for that cycle has to be 5 years.
5 years.
So I think that, I mean, if
So
you're
5 years
choosing a
is
span,
very
yes,
fair.
I mean,
Yes. So
because
if
in the 5 years you're expecting that all things being equal, all of the major competitors around the various leagues are able to build a cycle and then
very
roll
good,
over.
very good. So
Great.
if you have one team, let's say Leicester just winning one, and you can't say it has been very dominant because it was just a season. And if you have Liverpool winning in a period of let's say 6 years and they win one, you can't say they have been dominant. That's not domination. That's why I always have this that Barca is the only team that had a very formidable era but was never able to dominate Europe. Because every other team that had a very good era, Bayern dominated for 3 years, you had Ajax dominating for 3 years, you had Madrid dominating for 5 years, you had, but for Barca, the funny thing is that even back to back had never happened in Europe. All their European competitions are one, maybe another 2 years, another 3 years. So we are just using that 5 years for the purpose of study. And that 5 years, you had four different European teams. That is very unprecedented. Not one, not two, not three, not four. And if you are stretching it all the way to Europa, then you have all the six. So all the top six in Europe, all the top six in England, that we call them top, have all been into the top tier. That's the tier one and the tier two of the European competition in the past 4 years. That is very unprecedented. So if you are using that and talking about dominance in Europe, it is not only about who is winning the title. Because if that is the case, you have the Spanish teams. Madrid has won three and has won Barca has won it in the past 10 years. They've also won one. You've had Atletico winning in the Europa League. But then, how consistent are they? How consistent have they been? And when was the last time Atletico was even in the semi-final? When was the last time Barca was in the semi-final? The only consistent team now is Real Madrid. So if we are talking about the tangent of the European competitions, there is no way that you can say that the European teams have not been the best so far. So far, and like I said, it's error. Because there was a time that the Italian team in the 90s, the Italian teams were very, very formidable. In the late 2000s, the Spanish teams took over. That is, even in the early 2010s, the Madrid, the Atletico Madrid, and what do you call it, Barca, they took over. And and you had Sevilla also being very, very formidable within that time. So it is something that if we say that the EPL is the best league, if we are the viewers are watching, it doesn't mean that if we are taking the span of since maybe the European competition started, it is the EPL. No, we are just taking a span, just a very short. There was a time I told you the Dutch league was the best. You had Feyenoord winning, Ajax took over, PSV Eindhoven also came in. So in a span of about 5 years, it was all the Dutch. So you can say that as at that time they were the best in, because of course if we are talking about football, it's Europe. So ambiguously, if we say the best league in the world, you should understand. So for me, I side with you. You talked about the coaches, you talked about the players, you talked about and I have also talked about. But I want to still bring this topic up that are they actually overrated? And I am putting it in this stead. I'm talking about players that have come in from relatively lower leagues that we thought could not actually break in and actually make a difference. But then they come in and it's like, and I will take just about three players. The first player has to be Ellen Haaland. The second has to be Bruno Fernandes. Because Bruno Fernandes came in from a relatively lower league, that is the Portuguese league. He came in, and the funny thing is that since he made his debut in February 2020, he's been the player that has had most man of the matches, and he's also had one of the best. What do you call it? He's created most of the chances.
Big chances.
If you take that of Ellen Haaland, he was in the Austrian league, RB, what do you call Salzburg. He moves into the German league, which if we are doing the top five, they are actually the fourth. And he comes in the Premier League, and already he's got 45 goals. Smashed. No, in entire, but in the Premier League, he's already smashed.
So I think the conversation.
Okay, even in the Premier League, he's already smashed Ronaldo's arguably best season in the Premier League. Captains. You talk about that. Mohamed Salah, for everything we make noise about, the only thing that he had that he could tout himself with was the 2017-2018 season that he broke Ronaldo's record. They even have a golden foot for him. The boots he used is in the British Museum. I think he has to go for it because Haaland has made nonsense out of it. And we've not even finished the league. And you see the dominance. Ruben Diaz, where did he come from? He came from the Portuguese league. And he comes in and he is so formidable in the defense because as at the time he came, we could talk about having one of the best strikers in what you call it in the European League. So, are they an overhyped, spoiled entity with money and all about the media, or you are just actually?
I'm actually curious about the list you have drawn. I mean, because I think that for all of these three players you have made, you understand. I mean, you talk about the fact that the league has brought in Erling Haaland. You talk about the fact that the league has brought in somebody like Bruno Fernandes. What was the name of Ruben Dias. Yes, you talk about the fact that they came from relatively unknown leagues and have taken the league by storm. I mean, for all of the list you have pulled out, I can also pull a list of high-profile players who came from high-profile leagues and never, never, never set alight to the EPL. No, I mean because I think that we need to be fair to the conversation. I think that yes, I agree with all of the things that you have said. I agree with all of the things, but I don't think that you can just use a three-man shot.
I'm talking about those who have been very tough because Ruben Diaz came in and won the Player of the Year. Bruno Fernandes, for everything United is now, since he stepped in United 2020, it's been one of the best times United have had.
Can you talk about Shevchenko?
I'm coming. And I'm also talking about. I'm coming. I'm also talking about Erling Haaland.
Can you talk about Hernan Crespo?
I'm talking about there's something in chemistry called discrepancy. For every time we would always have players who will be off. But these are players who have come and have been the best so far. You can talk about Shevchenko, and I will talk about Shevchenko. After then, I think by then he was almost past his prime because he had already won his Ballon d'Or. He's won the European competition, and he came into Chelsea at a time that Drogba was in the height of his career. Talk about Crespo. Talk about Crespo post Chelsea. He went to AC Milan and took them to the Champions League final.
So he did not perform in the EPL. That's the point. I mean, that's the point I'm making. I mean, he came in as a high-profile player, did not perform.
But he wasn't the best striker in the world.
I think that you make very good points. People have said that the EPL is very overhyped. People have said obviously because of the biases when it comes to winning so many Champions League. Well, I will answer it in the final analysis. I think that even if you did the sampling of the teams of the leagues with the most teams to have won the Champions League, you have to be the EPL. You understand? There are 6+ teams in the EPL who have won the Champions League, and so that tells you that when you spread the database, you understand. Then you do a lot of sampling. You have a lot more teams that are coming from every angle that are capable of winning the Champions League. Should they go into the Champions League proper? I think that yes, people have made the point about the fact that a team like Real Madrid comes in and dominates. Listen, I have told people that maybe Real Madrid is subject matter we need to be talking about one of these.
We'll talk about Real Madrid.
Real Madrid is bigger than Spain. Real Madrid and it's.
Wait.
I am telling you, Real Madrid is bigger than the La Liga. Real Madrid is bigger than the La Liga. Everything Real Madrid stands. No, listen. You take away Real Madrid from the La Liga, it's stone thrower. I don't know how to put that one in English. You understand?
This is a very bold claim.
No, Real Madrid is bigger than the La Liga. So when you see Real Madrid come into the Champions League and do all of the things it does, it's because it is Real Madrid. Their projects and their confines, they go beyond what the La Liga stands for. Real Madrid is an institution on its own. They can stand with or without the La Liga. You understand? So you do not make that. Hold on.
So you are trying to say that if you are taking the La Liga, Real Madrid is less like A+.
A+++.
Then the rest start from like C.
Maybe we would give a B+ to Barcelona.
You are trying to say that if you take Real Madrid out, La Liga is a non-entity.
I'm telling you, if you take away Real Madrid from the La Liga, it's a non-entity because as it stands now, Real Madrid is bigger than the La Liga. Everything, the pulling power, the financial muscle, the character that Real Madrid does have, the La Liga will struggle to find competition with Real Madrid. For me, so you cannot just, yes, yeah.
How many have they won the last 10 years?
Which one?
How many
No,
have they
it's
won?
not. It's not about.
I,
how
wa- I
many-
was about
no,
ask, I was
it's-
about asking you that
the league
if
title?
they have been this dominant, 10 years is even too small. We can start from 2009. That is 14 years.
That's why you don't get it.
How many?
It's not about Real Madrid.
But it's La Liga you are talking about. You
Real
said
Madrid,
we
no,
stay with
no.
with
Real
the
Madrid
subject.
are not in the business of just winning the La Liga. The winning the La
No,
Liga
yes,
is
no.
not,
If we are
is-
talking
is-
about
is-
Real Madrid being the best in Europe,
Yes.
nobody is going to argue. But
Who has won the most La Liga titles?
35 or 36, that's Real Madrid. We know that.
Is anybody close to them?
Like more than 9 or so, more than Barca.
So what are you saying?
No, listen. We made an exception.
I am saying that we are talking about the team that
We are talking-
that has the
we-
most La Liga wins ever.
So
And now Real Madrid has realized that, listen,
So can you
cannot
say the
just
same thing
dom-
for Ajax, that Ajax is too bigger than the Eredivisie?
No, we
so
are
if you
talking
take
about-
them,
no, we-
because
we-
they have
we-
won way more
we
than
are having a-
Feyenoord and PSG.
We are
AZ
having
Alkmaar.
a conversation about a team and a league that is not overrated. You understand?
Okay.
And people have oftentimes made that angle, brought in that angle about Real Madrid and their dominance in Europe. You understand? Vis-a-vis all the things that, and they cite it as a plus to the La Liga. And I'm telling you that, listen, Real Madrid as an entity is bigger than everything that the La Liga stands for.
Is it bigger than Euro?
Which one?
Is it bigger than the Champions League?
Real Madrid can't be bigger than the Champions League
Why?
because I think that the Champions League stands for something bigger. I personally think that if you take away the World Cup, which is the grandest,
Of
which is
course,
the biggest,
it's
you understand? I think
undisputed.
that second in line has to be the Champions League in terms of how they are able to generate a lot of money, how they are able to organize itself. So Real Madrid, yes, obviously cannot be bigger because the Champions League is made up of superpowers. You understand?
Okay.
So they have all of the pooling powers together. They do all of the pooling together, and at the end of the day, are able to generate all of the things that they generate. But I'm saying that you cannot cite the Real Madrid dominance and make it a plus for the La Liga, because Real Madrid as an entity and its principles and everything it stands for goes beyond the La Liga. That's all I'm saying. I do not know why this should be.
But this, I think with this very bold proclamation, it hurts me that Lucky is not here. That Real Madrid. So, Lucky, if you are listening,
Comment section.
Kofi Asiedu is saying that Real Madrid is far bigger than the La Liga. So if you take Real Madrid out of the equation, the whole domino will fall.
Yes, the domino effect will be very relevant. I mean,
Because
listen, close your eyes and think about a world without Real Madrid in the La Liga. Close your eyes and think about
There's
it.
Barca, there's Barcelona.
Let me tell you something. I do not want us to digress because there are a lot of things that we need to talk about, but I do not want us to digress. The truth of the matter is that Barca are latter day saints. You understand? Barca are latter day saints. I mean, until 92,
94.
90, when they won the first
Yeah,
Champions League,
92.
92, when they won the Champions League with Cruyff, you understand? They were not relevant.
They have been to the finals before.
Indeed. If you go back into history, we talk about the Europa League today. The team that has made the most Europa League appearances and finals has to be Barcelona. So it should tell you their level. You understand? For a long time in Europe, they were second-tier couples. For a long time in Europe, and these are facts.
So
I am not dabbling in semantics or I'm not dabbling. No,
we were talking about
For a-
the La Liga.
Yes.
I brought a statement in La Liga, and you said no, we are going beyond La Liga. Now you've gone beyond La Liga, and you are talking about Barcelona and their exploits in Europe, and you are comparing
I
it
am
with
talking
Real
about
Madrid.
Barcelona and their exploits in second-tier European.
No. We were sticking with the league, and the league issues that we're talking about were that Barcelona. You were saying that Real Madrid is far, 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 far bigger than any other team. You didn't even mention Barca. It means that you made it Real Madrid and the rest.
Yes.
So I don't want us to really spend or concentrate on the European competitions. If it is La Liga you are talking about, I just gave them to you. Real Madrid has won the La Liga almost 9 times, more than
Every other team.
Every other team. Second being Barcelona. But you know that if you are talking about a league or a team dominant, it's not only the league. The cup is also involved.
Yeah.
The cup is involved, the domestic cup, and Real Madrid has won it way, almost 10 times more than.
When my good friend Christine and Kichi talked about coefficient, you people didn't understand it. When it comes to these metrics, or these metrics, you understand? We have a hierarchy. It's the La Liga, correct? We cannot throw in the Copa del Rey. The Copa del Rey that people filled unqualified players in, even in the same.
But you know it's a major trophy.
Please, I mean,
You know Copa del Rey is a major trophy.
Let's talk about serious business. So I think that
I think-
people think that the EPL is overrated. Yes, I think that they have a point when it comes to who dominates in the Champions League. But I'm sure that Percy has spelled out the parameters very well. If you look at the span,
Yeah.
and obviously we have to always have this conversation in a span. You understand? So if you look at the span and the now, I think that in the last 4 years, you mentioned about the teams that have been in the Champions League finals. Yes, some have not won it. City have been one.
All top 6 have been in
Yes,
European
so you realize that in that span, I think that they have been the most relevant. They have the best players in the world today. They have the best coaches in the world today. They are the most watched league in the world. You understand? They have the most resources at their
So it's not a fluke. It's not. It's a grand.
I think that, I mean, by Real Madrid, I do not think that we will even be having this conversation.
Okay.
Because,
So we'll get to some of our comments.
but it is amazing that we talk about the league, and we don't usually do this. But it's amazing that we are having a conversation about the league. We are talking about all of the beautiful things that have been done in the Champions League. We are talking about all of the things that have been said about some of the teams that are the chief architects in the league and all of that. And you know, this week, the president of the Ghana Football Association, in my honest opinion, the worst FA president ever.
For that one, I concur.
No, let me put a proclamation on it. The worst FA president there will ever be.
So that this is a future prediction. You don't know what is ahead.
I don't know what's ahead, but I do not
But
think that anybody
he's brought the
can
bar so low
I
that
don't think anybody can get any lower than Keto.
so he's gotten to the threshold
Yes.
of being abysmal as an FA president.
Well, the FA president has come out to say that he doesn't think that it is the GFA that has not promoted the league, but he rather thinks that the clubs have not done their best to promote themselves, and in consonance, since the clubs have not promoted themselves, it's affected the whole entity. You understand? So he's talking about Hartlepool, he's talking about Zakers, he's talking about Commercial Asante Kotoko, sorry. He's talking about Kotoku Royals, he's talking about Adriana Stars, he's talking about Brekun Chelsea, he's talking about
Sotraman FC.
He's talking about Viviani Gold Stars, he's talking about all of these teams which collectively have not done enough on their own individually. But you see, there is a history to this conversation. Not before this league began, there was money that was allocated.
I wanted to come to
Yes,
that.
there was money that was allocated for marketing. I hear it's $2 million.
It was more than the prize money actually.
$2 million
Yes.
was allocated by this FA for marketing the league.
Yeah.
I ask myself simple questions. How much of that 2 million went to the individual clubs? Because if you're going to market the league, you
He
understand?
said it's actually with the what do you call it? The sponsor. Yeah.
Pepper.
Yes,
Bet
it's
Power.
with Bet Power, so they would have to request for it. Of which I have
The teams
yes,
have to request
no,
for.
they GFA had to request for it.
So
I
they
have
didn't put in a request for the
I
2
have
million.
actually read about how I'm not so much of a business person about how sponsorship deals are, but I've never come across the state that the sponsors give you the sponsorship package with the money and you have to go again to them and tell them
You have
that
to convince them.
we have gotten to the marketing aspect of the thing, so
You guys are
give us the money so that we go and use it to market. When marketing is actually, I don't know, but is it marketing is one of the first stages, even before the whole thing will start. You've never started the league. You have to actually
No,
market
because
the thing.
people need to realize that the league as it stands is a package. It's a product. You understand? And for anybody out there who is into commerce, for anybody out there who is into advertisement, listen, before you go out there to make any noise or any conversation, for example, we are Sports 101. You understand? We have products. We have this Saturday morning shows. We have Sunday evening reviews. You understand? So if we want to go out there and make noise, it's the products that we have.
Yeah.
You understand? So the products invariably tell the world who we are.
Yeah.
So it's the products that we have, and we have chosen to put out in the public domain that is supposed to do their talking. You understand? So if the GFA wants to tell us that okay, the clubs which are subsidiaries of the products that we the GFA have put out there, the clubs are not the ones that are not pulling their weight.
It doesn't matter.
What do you make of
The
this
thing
whole
is that
conversation? What do you make of
the
this
funny
whole
thing is that
statement?
see, the league belongs to the GFA.
Huh?
It is for them.
Yes.
Black Stars does not belong to GFA.
Uh-huh.
That is something that I think we have to understand. Black Stars belongs to the state. Oh. The national team is not for the FA. It's for the nation.
And I'm sure you have brought in this angle because people have almost always championed the fact that okay, the GFA stands for the Black Stars.
No.
In fact, I've heard comments that has been made to the effect that the biggest product of the GFA has to be the Black Stars.
Which is in fact we are actually lost. We are lost because I want to give you an instance. See, Andrew Onana, you remember his antics in the World Cup? Yes, antics in the World Cup. And Samuel Eto'o and Rigobert Song had to actually sack him from camp, and he actually said he was not going to be in post, so he's gone. So even the last qualifiers, he wasn't in post. Do you know? Is it just this week or last week? The Cameroonian government has written. It's not the FAO. Has written to Inter Milan and are telling them that they should prepare Andrew Onana. He's coming to man the post. And they wrote to them that there was actually an issue between the FA and the technical team and Andrew Onana, which was blown out of proportion. They didn't even talk about it. Was a serious issue. It was just like Benoit Asuokoto's issue in 2014. They have gone against everything.
The Cameroonian government has written to the Inter Milan executives.
The actual thing is that Paul Biya's wife, that is the president's wife,
of Cameroon,
made them actually get a whole committee for this. And in getting this, they realized that okay, and they actually interviewed the players and got to know that okay, the issues were not actually as they were supposed to be. So it wasn't the Fekafort that we wrote to Inter. The government has rubbished Fekafort. Written, Inter Milan knows that the what do you call it? The Indomitable Lions does not belong to Fekafort. It belongs to the federal or the government of Cameroon. So they will acknowledge that letter. They've told him that, Master, prepare him. The next one we are calling him to come. And you can't bridge this. So if he comes to Ghana, we are joking. We are joking. See, with all the issues that have happened, the FA coach is not paid by the FA. It is the government. It is you. It's myself.
Well,
it's sad that sometimes when we talk about this,
that those are technicalities we wouldn't want to go
we
into.
won't go into that. But I want you to understand that they have shifted focus. If you take the English Premiership, the only thing that the FA they can tell themselves, even with that one, the Premier League have become autonomous. Richard Scudimore and his people are doing their own thing. The FA is concentrating on grassroots football and all of these things, but they cannot even vividly put it on their chest that the Three Lions is for them. You see, when it comes to issues of the Three Lions, it goes beyond the FA. When it goes to issues of that, even with the why do you think we still have a player like this, Harry Maguire? playing in a way that he's playing and being on the bench and he's still being selected. For me, I believe that it is going beyond the FA because listen, the football team, the national teams, is something that the FA should. I'm not saying that they shouldn't think of doing it well, but that should be a second thing that they should, because for every team, I always say that for every team that has won the African, what do you call it, the AFCON in recent times, go and check what they have done to their local league.
But Percy, I mean, to make this conversation better, we are still not deviating from the fact that the FA president thinks that it's the clubs who have not pulled their weight.
And that is, I think, the education we are coming to.
You see, there is this subtle footnote. In Africa, there is a marriage, an intermarriage between football and politics in Africa. So, I mean, you can come through all of the various African configurations and the politics that exist in those jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So, the politics and the football is simple. When the national team does well, a lot of credit goes to the FA. It gives them a lot of mileage, and invariably, a lot of credit also goes to the sitting government.
Yeah.
You understand? So in Africa, they don't care about your theories about the national team does not belong to the FA. In Africa, we are a gullible bunch. Forgive me if I'm being this blunt on live video and then on radio. We are largely uneducated, and so when there's propaganda, it flies through the roof. So in Africa, we don't care about your theories about the fact that the FA, the football teams, the national teams do not belong to the FA. In Africa, we believe that once the national team does well, the FA president is the best FA president ever. In Africa, we believe that once the national team does well, the chances of the government winning the next elections are rife.
Which
you cannot fault we Africans for believing.
If you take this context and you send it to Europe, Angel Vea was actually the FA president of the Royal Spanish.
When you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. This is Africa. This is what we believe.
I'm saying that he was the president of the Spanish Royal Federation. During his time, Spain won the World Cup. Spain won the Euros. But when it got to do with issue of corruption, it was his own friend who was head of actually their league in Javier Tebas, who was one of the main proponents that this guy has spent the money of the federation, and he was charged. But this is, you are talking about the FA president aiding them in winning stuff. He aided them to actually win the World Cup and the Euros. But in turn, when it had to do with crunch issues, they never and ever shared from it.
Well, back to Kate. What do you make of the whole thing?
The league is for you. It's a product for you.
Yes.
You allocated money more than the person who wins the league, or actually the league winner,
To
market the league. And with the marketing, the only thing I have seen is actually if I have start times, which I don't have. That there was a time I went to a friend who has start time that it is like DSTV broadcasting on DSTV for DSTV. Because if you are not on DSTV, you will never know their product. They don't broadcast this anywhere. So you broadcast the league on start times. That is a pay-per-view thing, and you are telling me that you spent money for the broadcasting. This is the case that you had a lot of. In fact, Ghana is now playing so many FM stations. And the funny thing is that people follow the league on FM stations more than even watching it. Because for me, I don't remember the last time I actually watched our league. But I also always listen to the commentary. I go around, I listen to radio almost every day. And I don't think that in a week I hear any radio station actually giving marketing or whatever for the league. The only times I hear it is when I'm listening to a sports show. And they actually talk about the fact that, okay, Kotoko has a match with Dreams SC. But to have that jingle, the only time I hear the jingle is when there's a commentary and they'll bring that song that they have actually created and they play it just before that. So for the marketing, Me as a sports fan, let me even take the sports away. As a layman, I have not heard anything like that. And all the successful, you are talking about Africa, let's not go far. Let's stay here. In fact, I always say that if you are talking about football, our peers is Egypt and Cameroon. No one else. Not even not Nigeria, not South Africa, not Congo, not all of these nations, because Ghana had been elite. In fact, we were the elite, we were the standard until the Egyptians and the rest came. If you talk about the AFCON, we had won for. If you talk about what do you call it, CAF Champions League, Kotoko was just lifting the name of Ghana high because they were going to back finals. Heart of Oak was doing it until you have Ali and you keep doing that. If you check how the Egyptian league is marketing, or the Egyptian FA is marketing the league, recently, in fact, you had between Zamalek and Ali to be able to trade a player of almost $5 million. That is the level they've got into. If you go to South African League, if you talk about the talent pool and if you watch their play and you watch ours, you are like, what makes this league special that attracts so much? In fact, it is not because they've had so much talent coming in. But if you check the broadcasting that DSTV is giving to the South African League, whenever they are even giving time for the Super Space Blitz, they give the Premier League, they give the Spanish La Liga. The next one they would never and never, even their varsity league, they even broadcast that. And it is on pay-per-view. We pay for DSTV and they give you the South African League. So inevitably, if there is no Premier League, there is no Spanish La Liga, you will be forced to watch it. Tanzanian League.
But again, I mean, don't you think that entities like Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns, entities like Kaiser Chiefs, they have put their house in order?
What gave them that mileage?
No, but I mean, I have always said that when it comes to our side of running football, the biggest mistake that we have made is that we think that anybody can run football.
Of course, that which is very.
There's a reason why the EPL does the fruits and proper test for people who want to run football club. I think that one of the biggest crimes we have committed to society in this side of the world is that we think that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can run football.
Yeah.
No, football is not for the faint-hearted. No. Football is not for poor people.
No.
Football is not for people who do not have links, who do not have resources,
no.
who do not have the wherewithal to run what it is. You understand? So I look at our teams, and I think that yes, I mean, a lot of people would want to chide the FA president for the things that he has made. But I think that we need to also take a careful look at ourselves in the mirror. Listen. Recently, there was a survey that was done, and if that survey was held to the strictest of proofs, some teams will not have the leverage for running in this Premier League.
Of course, that one I agree.
They did not meet any of the categorizations. Legally, financially, administratively. I do not want to mention anything because they'll call Bawumia. When push comes to shove, they'll call the vice president to step in. You understand? No, I'm telling you. I mean, I'm sure that once I mention the vice president, people know where I'm coming from. You understand? So those are the issues. You understand? We talk about the South African League, we talk about the mileage that DSTV has given them, we talk about Super Sport and the mileage is giving them. But the truth of the matter is that, listen, when you have a Mamelodi Sundowns properly packaged, running very well, having all of the structures in place, not knowing that this is serious business, so I need to employ the right people, I need to make sure that the people who are running the various departments are of the right fit. When Orlando Pirates are doing the right thing, it's easier when you have all of these clusters coming together and then somebody has to oversee all of them.
I don't.
What team in Ghana is run properly?
For that, there is no team. I agree with you.
What team in Ghana is run properly?
I agree with you perfectly.
Even no, you see, for a long time, for a long time, it had to be the FA president's team.
Before he became FA president.
Even before that, I mean, we were talking about teams like Liberty Professionals, which were run very well. Yes, Feyenoord also because of their link to exactly Wafa being run very well. But I asked that simple question: which team is run well? And see, it goes back. I think that yes, as much as I want to hold a lot of leverage, I want to hold a lot of leverage for the FA president. It goes back to my good friend Julius Emuna and his friends at the FA. You don't want to step on toes. If you don't step on toes, you cannot do anything. No, you see,
No,
it goes back to my good friend Julius Emuna and the people who make sure that the various teams in this league are meeting the criteria that they ought to meet
you probably
to run
would have
in this
a,
league.
a 14 league because
No, because if push comes to shove, and we have to have an 8-team league to make our league better, I think that we need to go there.
I think what you're saying is it is something that when you talk about the South African league, one thing we fail to understand is that in a league, one of the things that, in fact, the major thing that gives money is TV rights.
Yes.
But we think that one of the things that wins league is selling players. That is our mistakes. We try to nurture the players and sell.
That's how we have become.
I would give you instances. The one thing that gives league or teams or in the league gives them the money is actually publicity, TV rights, and marketing. It is not selling players. Selling players is one of them. Prize money is one of them. South African league, if it is talent you want, you probably might not get any. But one of the things that is giving them the money, the transaction, you know that now DSTV shows Ethiopian league, Kofi, Ethiopian league.
Addis Ababa.
If we make a poll right now and you ask the people,
DSTV is coming to show you Ethiopia.
they used to show the Ghanaian league. Listen, if you
watch the pitch that Commercial Santico had to play on against the pitches.
I don't want to get there.
When DSTV to
I'm coming. If you make a survey and even ask the listeners that they should give you one team in Ethiopia,
DSTV to broadcast.
what I'm trying to say is that what the FA president said, in quote, I think he probably doesn't know what he's doing or what is actually good for the league. Like I said, if you want the league to flourish or if you want money in the league, the number one thing is talk of the English Premiership. Listen, the broadcasting right is £5 billion. £5 billion between Sky Sports and BT Sports.
And now they are even thinking of.
They said it's too small.
Yeah, they're thinking of going solo, so they are going to cut off.
They are going to cut, and you will come and negotiate with them.
Directly.
So right now, being Sports will not go to. So right now, the whole world, we all go to BT and Sky, and they share to us.
Exactly.
Now BT will go to Premier League.
Premier League board.
Sky will go. Being Sports will have to go. NBC will have to. That is the level they've got into, and that is.
Now, don't you think that's the level they've got into because
that is what they decided to start to do.
Because Chelsea are
and they showed the way to even the Spanish La Liga, the Bundesliga. So they have also taken matters into their own hands, and they've realized that. See, how many times will you sell the players? How many times will you get players going for 100 million, 200 million? Even sometimes after selling them, you buy players and you have to probably cut losses. But you think that upon Chelsea buying almost 600 million players, you will sit here and think that Chelsea is having a loss when at the end of the season, even placing 10th, they are assured almost 200 million pounds. Almost 200 million pounds for a year. Forgetting that the players they bought have been amortized.
So you think that the FA president spoke a lot?
No, what he spoke about. If you are if you are a layman, you might think, okay, maybe protocol is not doing what, but it is for you. The rest, I would say, they are probably they are not even permanent members. You are the constant figure. Although they are the main role players, Kotoko can go on relegation. Hartlepool can go on relegation. So if you are thinking about they trying to put their house in order, how do they even put their house in order? You have to supervise. How do you set what you call it a supervising team to go and check, like you said, to go and check their pitches for the league, and you go and you realize the pitch is not good. We all know the pitch is not good, but they have all been passed. How many of them have physiotherapists? Why don't you sanction them? How many of them have team doctors? How many of them even have psychologists? But you don't sanction them, and you are telling me that they should put their house in order. You bring a sponsorship deal, you keep $2 million for marketing, which the $2 million that even when you win the league, you might not even get anything close to it. And you are talking about this, and you are saying that the teams should actually put their house in order. Where is the money? We put the houses in order with money. And for all this, in fact, how would they even get individual sponsorships when the league itself is not attractive? How do they go to MTN? How do they go to ABSA? How do they go to what do you call it? GMPC that come and sponsor us when they know that you are not the main proponent that would actually give them the money. It is actually the attractiveness of the league that will make them come in. You heard recently that the Premier League is saying that unanimously.
So there was an article that was written 8 months ago to the effect that Ghana Premier Leagues to receive under $26,000 from BetPower sponsorship, and to quote the figure accurately, then 78, 25. $278. You understand? And this is something that people, I mean, my good friend, the lawyer Amande, vehemently bemoaned the deal. You understand? Because the proponents, the people who are there,
exactly what I'm talking. Why would they do nurture and sell? Because if he sells a player, he gets like $200,000, more than what you give them the whole season. So no player will stay. The money you are giving to the whole team, is $26,000. If he nurtures the player this season, and Mbella scores 20 something goals, and he sells Mbella and gets $1 million, why should Mbella stay? He should leave. Because it doesn't matter how much you put into the league, one player is worth. But that should not be the case. Advertising should rather give the team so much money that selling a player would be something that they do just okay for progress, so that we will get some additional money. But we have gone the other way around. We rather nurture and sell. We nurture and sell. So one, if a team wants to sponsor the league, they need what you call mainstay players. In 2005, when there was Kena Farmer sponsoring the league, you had Charles Taylor, you had Eric Gau, you had all of these players in. Even if you go to Liberty, you have players who were all in. Even if you come to Hazaka, there was Anthony Annan. So it means that the players were there. So if they bring it and there was publicity, it's fine. But now, the money you are even bringing to the teams is less than their budget. Their budget sometimes even for about 2 trips in and out. So it has to be okay if you won't sponsor the league. We don't also mind.
But to end the conversation, I mean, you set up a team, you're a privately run entity, you're limited liability. Why do you want people to put in money into your limited liability to make it better?
What I am trying to say is that I am
because when
I am not pushing. I am not giving thumbs up.
Takes the money, he runs away with the money. It's his. When he sold Sheila Ilyasu, when he sold all of those other players, he sold all of those players, he sold them. When he makes money, it comes to him. So
why shouldn't he run away?
Why should the GFU be worried about what you do with your private?
You just give them $26,000. You think he shouldn't run away?
As compensation.
You think he shouldn't run away after selling his player?
Compensation of being part of.
Remember when Party was his original team in Accra?
Yeah.
The money, that is the development fee by Atletico Madrid. That is when they got the money from us. It was almost $2 million. Yeah. It was paid into the guy's account. He should go to GFA. By the time GFA asked the guy was nowhere to be found. He has closed the team.
Oh no!
Why wouldn't he do something like this?
Tickets, right?
Yes. He took the money and he's done.
So back to the question. Why should the FA pump money into your limited?
Because the publicity.
Nobody asked you to form a club.
Nobody agreed.
Nobody asked you to form a club. If you cannot have the club running on its resources the way, nobody asked us to form Sport 101. Why should we go to the public to beg for funds if we are running our own limited?
But you should know that we are under no one. We are a private entity. We are independent. we do our own thing the way we want to do.
You are
But
limited.
the teams are regulated.
Affiliated to a body.
Where you are not a constant figure,
Well, I think that
you are
we
subject to
probably
leave.
would allow this conversation to we allow this conversation to do all the things that he's doing in the public. I mean, run with it. I mean, do you think that the FA president was right in saying that the teams have not put their houses in order? And do you think that the FA president is the one solely responsible to make sure that the league is running very efficiently? Do you think that the FA president holds the mantle to make sure that we are competing on those fights like the South African League, the Egyptian League, and all of those other leagues? So we'll quickly move to the last.
Yes, the way the whole thing is heated, I don't want to bring the energy down. So we'll move straight to our next topic. After that, we'll take all the comments. I know there are a lot of comments, but I want us to move it in. And reading the comment, I saw something very funny that a guy said I should come and apologize for my Champions League prediction. But hey, I gave 4 and 3 came out. I said AC Milan will qualify because everything is for them. Superstition is for them, and I don't care whatever anybody thought. Kofi had his view, and I knew AC Milan will not lose. I gave it to them, and I said for Benfica, until some things are not done, they will keep on doing what they are doing. I also said Real Madrid, it's inevitable. Inter Milan, I said AC Milan should meet Inter Milan because this is 2005 all over again. It was for City that is one of those things. And even for City, I still have things to back it. For me, I believe in those things.
You went beyond the demons.
I believe in those things.
And the spirit God.
I believe in those things. Because for me, as young as I was involved in football. And even with the small grassroots football that we played in our area, and there was absolutely nothing on it.
Oh, you're one of the people who were catching doves and tying
we slept at the cemetery before.
You were breaking the leg of the doves, you understand? You tied them with white rubber and allow fly away. Once they fly away,
they will give you
you are the guys who believe that once it rained, you're going to come victory.
So these things, childhood, it's not like it wasn't really working, but of course. But I was still, I was still stressed on it. And I think that last week we were not able to really talk extensively on it. Today, I am going to bring you a whole lot of things that I think we still have to get into your mind for you to understand that
Spiritism.
It's not spiritism. Football is not training. It's not training.
It's not just training.
Pep talk. Psychologists coming to talk to you. Getting on the pitch for 90 minutes. And after that, winning games. Listen, you are playing against the wind. Football, it is the wind you are playing with.
You don't see the wind.
You don't see the wind.
You just feel the wind.
So
you have to enter into realms that,
I am telling
that
you.
makes you.
So I am going to take the 4 teams that actually play. And the things that go for them. And you are the one that is there. Okay, it can be. Listen, let's take the AC Milan and Napoli game. When last did Napoli win the league? It was 1990. Yeah. When they won the league, who won the Champions League? It was actually AC Milan. It was actually AC Milan. Again, in 2005, that was the last time that Inter Milan and AC Milan actually met in the semi-final.
Yeah, when they had all of these great players.
So, and this is actually about 18 years afterwards. They've also met again. I always say that unless these teams, Steaua Bucharest, Restal Belgrade, Feyenoord, PSV Eindhoven, FC Porto, just a few of these teams, are these teams that have won the Champions League the first time and won. The rest, you go to semi-final, you lose. Or final, you lose. Over and over and over again. And again, hardly do you meet a cathedral. When we say cathedral, we're talking about the 4 and above from what do you call it? Ajax only. When I say an underdog, it is not your form in your league. That is what we fail to understand. Your form in your league. I'm talking about your consistency and your status in the champions. If you meet them, you don't usurp them. If you usurp them, you will meet another cathedral in the final.
So you're very application.
You will meet them. I am not.
So you're guessing City.
So
now.
I knew.
So what if City wins the Champions League this time around?
I will emphatically say they will not win, and I will tell you why. They won't win.
Wow.
It's not prediction. They won't win.
Wow.
No, they won't win. I am on camera,
I don't do.
and I will tell you why.
City will not win the Champions
I
League
said they will not win.
based on spiritism. Based
You
on
want? Okay, listen. Let's Real Madrid. When I say that they are the ultimate deity in the Champions League,
deity. For people who do not know what a deity is, a deity is a body that people go to pay homage
they
to.
pay homage to.
You understand? So it could be a river, it could be a stone. So in local parlance, or your bosom.
Or your bosom.
You understand? So it could be a body, it could be a living being, it could be a non-living being. Real Madrid are the ultimate.
They are the
deity.
ultimate
So
deity.
it's the one that people bring a thought to.
And I will say this because they are the only ones who have defied almost every superstition in Champions League.
Wow.
Let's start with Liverpool. Every time Liverpool meets a Spanish team and a Portuguese team in the quarterfinals and beats them, they win the Champions League. Until 2018, they met Real Madrid.
And who are Dakar specialists in Central. So Sergio Ramos is
Let's again.
Ramos Dakar. Because I've always found this character.
Who come to that? Who comes to Sergio Ramos and the thing? And leave the same Liverpool again. Anytime they meet their Spanish opposition in the Champions League semi-final and they beat them, they win. Until they met Real Madrid. Until they met Real Madrid. 2005, if you check their run to the final, they met Chelsea. That was when Benitez crossed his legs. He's also another figure that we will have to talk about. Until they met Real Madrid. And if you also take Real Madrid, they are the only side to beat English team first, second, third to win the Champions League. Last season, they beat City, they beat Liverpool, they beat Chelsea. If you take 2005, the reason why I said that City, what do you call it, Inter and AC are supposed to meet is that when was the Champions League final held? Istanbul. Where is the final this season? 2005, who met the semi-final? Inter and AC. This is 2023. You see?
Why 18 years? In your world of spiritism.
In my world of president, the numbers, I'm going to
mean something. Does 18 mean something?
you see, one of the things that whenever I listen to, especially the Europeans, and they attribute us to it's people who believe in Buddhism. See, when Real Madrid won the Champions League number 13, they knew that they would win again. Because in Europe, the most lucky number is 13. The only time 13 is is a bad luck is when you go and sit behind the table and they are already 12 people and you are the 13th person. That is when it's bad luck. So when Real Madrid won the 13th Champions League, that is when they won it with Cristiano Ronaldo. And they went to the final. The reason why I said that Real Madrid would never lose this final is that whenever they play, they win a trophy before the Champions League final. What they do is that whenever they win the trophy, they go to the Madrid Square. You know, the goddess of Real Madrid, or the deity of Real Madrid, is a goddess. That is what Sergio Ramos does. They send the trophy to the goddess, and they go and tie the head of the goddess with the Real Madrid scarf. They have never done that and lost the Champions League final ever.
Hey.
And they will play the Copa del Rey final before the Real Madrid, the Champions League final. That is if they qualify. All things being equal, this is Real Madrid on their winning. And like I said, no other superstition in Champions League has taken them up. This is a team that has gone to the Champions League semi-final 16 times and have won 14.
Wow.
16. 14.
Wow.
Barca has gone 12. Have won how many? 5. So if you take Real Madrid, it is so when I just heard Bernardo Silva saying that they are going to take revenge, and I was like,
Listen
this
to
guy...
Salah. if you have an example to look up to, look at Salah.
And the last thing I want to talk about before I'll go in that, for the past 6-7 years, before you win a Champions League, you should have like a Croatian in your team.
That's odd.
Sadly enough,
City do not.
they don't have a Croatian.
Negotiating for Kovacic.
By the time he comes,
Oh, so is the reason they want to negotiate for Kovacic?
it is just like the World Cup.
Wow.
Since the World Cup, it seems in 1990,
Messi.
for you to win,
Percy, I
or
see
for
that
you to get the
if
final.
Really, if City did not win this Champions League, this particular episode will be well documented.
Everything is against. Listen, for you to win the
The wind
Champions
is against them.
for you to win the Champions League, see,
Wow.
you need a Croatian,
A Croat.
a Croat. Real Madrid, they have the ultimate Croat.
Look at Madrid.
He's there. If you go to Inter Milan, they also have their Croat. Brozovic is there.
Even that time, they
AC Milan has Ante Rebic. He's there. Unfortunately, City does not. It's like the World Cup. Last 20 years, if you want to go to the final, get an Inter Milan player. If you have an Inter Milan player, you will get to the final.
Wow.
See, listen, these are things that we try to overlook.
But in the last 7 years, Liverpool have a Croat.
They had a Croat. They had Lovren.
Dejan Lovren.
They had Dejan Lovren. For them to win the champion, they had Dejan. See,
When they won the Champions
they
League,
had Dejan Lovren.
On the bench.
Whether it's on the bench, it's on the team sheet, it's starting, you should have a Croat. And these are things that we overlook. And there are some people who are saying that Champions League has not been favorable to Manchester City. Listen, Chelsea went for 5 consecutive semi-finals and lost the final with a slip. How many have they gone to? This is their 10. So they should brace themselves. And remember, Champions League has not been. See, Guardiola has been the most successful person in terms of semi-finals. But for him, Champions League smiled on him when he started. First attempt, he won. Second attempt, he went to quarterfinal. Third attempt, he won. And that is when things started coming into play. So, for everything that is happening, see, it is not about tactics. People should understand. Champions League. Now, those who have met in the semi-final.
amazing is so you want to rubbish all of the hard work. That
Listen, you can. I'm not saying don't go to. I'm not saying don't go to the field. I'm not saying don't go and train. I am saying that
It's not enough.
those who have met in the semi-final, these 3, Inter, AC Milan, Real Madrid, I'm not met. These 3 teams who have met, see, these 3 teams who have met, if you check their background, and if you check the things they do and the things they've done, City is like a letter they say. It's like a born-again Christian who is in the midst of prophets. Let me say, City is a born-again Christian in the midst of prophets. So City, for everything they have, this is their last stop. Even if Benzema gets injured, City will not qualify. I said, and I'm saying it here, Real Madrid is the ultimate deity of Champions League, and nothing will usurp it. They believe it. It's not like, and the funny thing is that for City, if they are like liberal people, even their fans, liberal people, and all of that. AC Milan, they've won it 7 times, and you know that the 7 they've won, they've hardly the percentage of them winning the Champions League final with a white jersey is about 90%. They never lose with a white jersey. The first that is why when they met Liverpool and lost with a white jersey in 2005, they didn't understand. They got to know that Charlie, the Liverpool is also coming from somewhere. Liverpool was coming from somewhere because they had Benitez. Go and check where Benitez is. And the funny thing is that 3 of the coaches who have gone to the final all come from the same town. Ancelotti,
Exactly.
Simeone, and Pioli. That part of Lombardy and that place, go and read about that place. And so if you take all of these things in perspective, you get to realize that the Champions League that we are watching, because if you watch the Inter and the AC game, there are lots of things you will not understand. Napoli, sorry, AC and Napoli. Everything was going on for Napoli. Absolutely everything was going on for Napoli. And all of a sudden, Giroud from nowhere. Giroud from absolutely nowhere. So, for me, I will emphatically say, I believe it. I would never check out. I believe it. And I will stand there and say, maybe it's another time for City. If they are probably met Tottenham or maybe Monaco or something, we wouldn't have been having this discussion. But unfortunately, you are going to meet the ultimate deity of the Champions League. And before they meet you,
They're going to tie the head of the goddess in the Real Madrid. I am absolutely scandalized. I mean, by some of the things that I've heard Percy say this morning. Absolutely scandalized that because City do not have a pro out, they do not look like a team that is going to win the Champions League. Well, I am praying that, and it puts me in a kind of a mixed bag because just yesterday I read that they were negotiating terms with the Kovacic's agents. You
they will
understand?
come
So,
later.
yeah, so I don't know where they have gone to. That the guy has told them that Charlie go and get a Croat because honestly I did not see this particular story come out of anywhere. What in my wildest dream that City were going to be fighting for the signature of Kovacic. That is absurd. That's
Because
one of the most
the
absurd.
midfield is already packed.
Yes, so that's one of the most absurd because this is a guy who comes from Leeds United, does not even make the squad.
Hey, Calvin Phillips.
Yes, Calvin Phillips. He's not
Is he
even.
still-
He's still a City player. So I think that they've gone somewhere. I think that they've. Well, I think that your theory is beginning to make a lot of sense now. You can believe in all of the irrationalities. You can believe in all of the illogic. You can believe, but I believe strongly that for a lot of the things that happen in the physical, they've already happened in the spiritual.
Of
In
course.
fact, not for a lot of the things. I mean, but for the things that happen in the physical, they've
Everything.
already happened in
It
the
has already
spiritual.
happened.
And I also think that when two teams are equally matched,
There's some-
there are external influences.
let me just show this in. You see Chelsea versus is it City versus Real Madrid last season?
Yes,
Remember the person that started the whole
Rodrigo.
go and listen to his what do you call it, his interview. He said when the ball was crossed, his eyes were closed. Kofi. 88 minutes. I forgot who crossed
crossed
it.
the
Finish
ball.
shot.
They crossed the ball, your
He
eyes are
said
closed.
his eyes were. He doesn't know.
Caballero.
The ball was not supposed to come. It was Benzema. The ball was not supposed to come to him. It was Benzema. His eyes were so he didn't know where he was going to. Before he realized, they were shouting goal, meaning that the ball has hit his head and it's a goal.
Oh no, this is fairy tale.
It was the 88th minute.
Rodrigo
City was having the goal, the advantage, everything. And these were the words of Rodrigo Goes. And this was Real Madrid against Manchester City. That was better. In fact, they were far better than Real Madrid, and we all knew that. So,
About the two legs,
so see, you have people saying, "Oh, these are just correlations. These are just things that just happen." But Kofi, this happened. This happened 2010 World Cup, England versus Morocco. That was a goalless draw. The moment the match started, there was a crow that came to stand on the pole of the English post. Rooney hit the post like 3 times. And the match, the crow did not leave until at the end of the match. And when they interviewed, they said there was a witch doctor, Algeria, who has sent the crow from Algeria. That was.
To South Africa.
Kofi, please continue.
Well, I do not know what to say, but I think that reading the Kovacic story, I'm convinced that City have gone somewhere.
But it will be too late.
I'm convinced that they've gone
I'm
somewhere.
sure they realize that they have to.
The man or the woman has told them, Charlie, get a Croat in the team. That's just by the way. I mean, we'll just quickly take some of the comments from our YouTubers and PK Justice says good morning to you all. Abigail Kojo says much clearer picture. Good morning, guys. And where's Lucky? Lucky is a bit indisposed today. He had to do something very critical, and I'm sure that he'll join us tomorrow when we have our live episode again from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll still be shooting live on YouTube, and then we'll be streaming live also on radio on Tadi FM 99.1 FM. And PK talks about the voice. I think that is part of the technical challenges. William Achampon says, good morning, guys. Let us keep up the good work. Kojo Bakon, I know this guy very well. He's a known City fan.
That's what he
said. One of the known City fans. Yes.
City has.
I don't know where he came from, but I know Kojo Bakon very well. Kofi and Percy should apologize for your wrong UCL prediction. I'm sure he's talking about his City action. Mensa Aqua says, good morning, guys. Mensa Aqua talks about the blurry nature of the video. Then Jordan Shigels talks about the fact that we are being fanatic.
So you are the synonym for.
Yes, he talks about the Kofi being the synonym for fanatics. Fanatics is Kofi as nothing better. That's fine. I mean, we are glad you hope at least you are watching. We are glad that you like the fanatic part of us. And Sports 101, Marjorie goes ahead to say that the Croatia argument is frivolous.
Correlation is not correlation.
Correlation is
not correlation. There is correlation.
Marjorie thinks that this is absolutely frivolous. And Kojo Baku says that Percy say here, sat here and said Bayern will qualify. Yes, we know City will qualify, but Percy has also gone ahead to say that. Listen. Because you do not have a Croatian in that city, the semi-finals is going to be your last stop, and he has proven with data. You can no. The point is that you can fight with all of the logic that Percy has put out there, but to Marjorie and to Kojo Baku, the point is that Percy has put out data that's thought to suggest that in the last 7 years, any team that has won the Champions League has had the Croatian. And this is data. This is data. You can fight with all of the logic, you can fight with spirit.
Can even go as far as the first time Real Madrid won, that was in 2014.
Yes, they had Kovacic.
No, sorry, from 2015. Yes. From Rakitic. From Rakitic to now.
Barcelona, that was Barcelona.
So that's what I'm saying, from Rakitic to now. Rakitic, Kovacic, Modric. Then you have Kovacic again.
Well, let me just let me just read some of the comments, and we'll just put a roundup on the today's show. In as much as history plays this from Samuel Rubin, in as much as history plays an important role in football, let's consider the facts before us. City is the best team amongst the 4 teams. I do not think City is the best team among the 4 teams in the semi-final. And I think that Percy made a very poignant statement. Do not consider the league.
Your league. No.
I think that is one really important point that you need to consider. Because listen, before Bayern met City in the Champions League, Bayern had a perfect record in the Champions League. You understand? You could arguably say that Bayern were the best team based on form.
Inter is leading. Napoli is leading AC in the league.
Yes. So I do not think that City are the best teams. He talked about City having many years to have a complete team, and from defense to midfield, straight to the attack. We will wait for Real Madrid. Once you are able to pass the Real Madrid test, we will look at it. City are going to qualify. Period. That's what Samuel Rubin said. With or without a Croat, City are going to qualify.
They are going to be the
qualify with their Belgians. They are going to qualify with those people with their Spanish and the Rodriguez. They do not need a Croat. They are going to rubbish your theory and they are going to qualify. Period. That's what Samuel Rubin said. Fire Safer says, I'm sad for Arsenal. We'll talk about Arsenal tomorrow. Listen, if you're watching us and listening to us, tomorrow you will be sad for listening to us as an Arsenal fan. We will kill you. I am promising a package for the Arsenal fans tomorrow. Tomorrow, 7 to 9 p.m. But PHA also says Madrid will beat City. Champions League is Madrid. BP Reality says that City City will win this. They are too good. Let's hope City will make nonsense of this Croatian analogy. I think that on this note, it's a minute to 10 o'clock. On this note, it's been fun coming your way once again with another interesting Saturday morning episode of Sports 101. Forgive the technical challenges that we faced. We had
Yeah.
some issues with the sound, we had some issues with the video. Forgive all of the technical challenges that we have faced. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and we hope to bring you another beautiful episode of this whole Sports 101 on Radio Tadi 99.1 FM, and then on YouTube on Sports 101 tomorrow. Have a wonderful week.